This webinar is an instructional video to how to prepare your chapter property for closing during the winter break holiday. Break closure dates. Per the sublease terms in the housing agreements your members have signed, all houses close for winter break. No exception. Typically, the chapter house closes on the Saturday following finals and typically opens on the Friday prior to classes beginning for the spring semester. Please see your RPG email correspondence for the official closing and opening dates for your chapter property. In order to close your house for winter break, the individual members are asked to do the following things: to clean their space and take valuables and vitals home with them, such as medication, money, an ID or passport, and keys. Additionally, they should take any trash in their room to the dumpster and remove all food from their room and the kitchen, such as the fridge or cabinetry, during break. They should close and lock their bedroom windows, shut blinds, turn off all the lights in their room, and then lock the doors behind them. It is to be noted that personal rooms may be entered over break by RPG or its designated staff to do room inspections or maintenance work. The house manager and chapter president are not responsible for ensuring that the individuals complete these items in their room. However, you should be communicating these items to them proactively before break. Do note, as we mentioned earlier, the house is closed for winter break, and that means members will not be able to return to the house in case they forgot something, which is why we really encourage valuables and vitals to be taken with them. The house manager and chapter president have a few to-do items when it comes to preparing for winter break. They are to hold a house meeting. During this house meeting, they need to review the to-do items we just covered that individuals should follow. I want you to remind the members that the house will be completely closed and again will not be available to be entered after it's closed. You are to share with them the winter break occupancy request form, which we will highlight next. You are to submit a work order for anything necessary that is broken in your chapter property during this house meeting. You will also touch base on, during the house meeting, discuss and schedule a house cleanout day or days for all the common areas, such as your kitchens, laundry room, chapter meeting, lounges, exec or study rooms, etc. Think of any common area in your property that may need to be cleaned out and organized. Establish a lost and found location, a location where you can put anything that you have found during the cleanout days, and that will be thrown away upon house closing if it is not claimed. During the house meeting, you should discuss and consider setting quiet hours for studying finals, meaning establish times or a location within your house that might be constantly quiet to allow for effective study. Lastly, you want to confirm who is fully moving out for the fall semester and who is moving in for the spring. We do ask, as a part of this, you, chapter president and house managers, must be the last to leave your chapter property for break because you will be responsible for checking the items that you have discussed and listed here. Another item that the house manager and president is required to complete is a break preparations checklist. This is a simple Google form that's going to ask you for the names and contact information of 2 local contacts, members who may either be residing at the chapter house for part of the break or that lives on an off-campus house and might be easily accessible to the chapter house in case of emergency. Additionally, this preparations checklist is going to ask if you have removed the trash, closed and locked windows, verified the heat is on, turned exterior lights off, verified exterior doors. This is a checklist that the house manager and president are required to do, because failure to do these items on the checklist could result in additional bill backs from damages or issues caused by not properly closing your house down. This form is due on the closing date of winter break. Next, the house manager and president are required to verify that the heat is on and reduce other utilities. Considering that the chapter members pay for the utility expenses at the house, this will only work in your benefit. So consider these ways to help conserve energy by turning all the common area lights off. Close and lock the windows, maybe in your chapter room, verifying that the exterior doors are fully closed and not letting energy out. Ensuring that your thermostats are set to 68-degree temperatures. Unplug any appliances that might be necessary, such as mini fridges that might be in members' rooms. Encourage members to unplug and defrost those while leaving the door open and a towel to gather any moisture. Remove all window AC units if they are permitted at your chapter property, and consider keeping cabinets to sinks open for airflow to pipes. One important thing to highlight is you do not want to turn the heat off in your chapter property to conserve energy. Contrary to belief, when you do so, you put your house at a much larger risk for damage if pipes were to freeze and burst in your property over the holiday. So always set your thermostats to remain on heat and to at least 68-degree Fahrenheit. So who can stay over break? Well, as we shared earlier, the house is fully closed, but there may be exceptions that allow a member to leave late, arrive at the house early, participate maybe in a winter or J term, or maybe they work locally to campus and need a place to occupy. Those individuals may request approval from RPG to occupy the house during winter break. Note that members who do not live in the house will not be approved. Only those who have a current sublease agreement will. RPG will accept submissions of the occupancy request until the day your house closes for break. So any member who needs to leave late, arrive at the house early, or for any other reason, come to the property, they must submit this form immediately before the house closes. A pro tip is consider adding this link if you have a group or in-house chat. So what can you expect from RPG for winter break preparations? RPG will be sending out communications to each individual live-in member via email with the closing procedures to them. We will have vendors present throughout the break at the chapter property, whether that's for repairs, cleaning, or inspections. RPG will send reminders about the spring utilities or rent or other housing fees that may be due on January 1st of the new year. And lastly, we will also send communications to any individual who is fully moving out of your chapter house for the fall term, or anyone fully moving in for the spring term. So some of you may have occupants who are only living in your chapter house for the fall term. And these individuals will be fully vacating the chapter property, not just for the break, but for the rest of the year. RPG will be emailing them the full move out instructions and copying house managers and officers. Their move out date for any fall occupants is the actual break closing date, no exceptions. So their move out date is the house closing date. Upon their departure, RPG will inspect and assess their rooms for any damage or cleaning. Thereafter, RPG will email their charges, if any, that are due in mid-January to them. They will have the opportunity to appeal the charges as outlined in their damage charge correspondence that they received. If a member is listed to be a fall-only tenant but is no longer moving out, they should contact RPG immediately. If you are unsure of who are the individuals as a fall-only tenant and would be moving out at the end of the fall semester, please check your chapter's leasing tracker for the updated information with their term listed as fall only. There also may be occupants who are only living in the chapter house in the spring term and did not reside in the house in the fall. RPG will also be emailing them the full move-in instructions, including requiring for them to complete a room inspection form. Maybe you have someone in your chapter property or chapter who is not currently living in but would like to and wants to be a spring-only occupant. Go ahead and add them onto your chapter's leasing tracker, and RPG will send them a sublease to sign electronically before moving in. Then RPG will provide them the move-in instructions only after their sublease is signed. Let's say maybe you have a member who was going to be living in the spring semester, but now unanticipated is no longer returning to school and needs to move out. They must notify RPG immediately. Further, they should submit a chapter house sublease release request. For the terms of their sublease, they would be required to fulfill the full year of their sublease. However, they can ask the chapter's permission and RPG's permission to be released out of a portion or a semester of that contract. So by filling out the chapter house sublease release request, it starts that process for approval. If you are unsure about who is on your spring only list and should be moving in, please check your chapter's leasing tracker for the term listing spring only. Some final reminders here for you. RPG will conduct a projected utility audit. This is where we will assess all of the actual billings used during the fall term, comparing to the projected billing of utilities that occurred in the fall term. This audit comparing the actual to the projected will determine if there is a credit or a charge for the difference. RPG will apply that credit or a charge going into the spring semester. Other things to note is if a member were to change rooms, they must seek prior approval from RPG. They should complete the room transfer addendum, regardless if they are moving in or moving out, or anytime changing a room. Room changes do come with a $250 room transfer fee as a part of this process. So if a member would like to change rooms, they must seek approval and complete the transfer addendum form. If you have questions or concerns, please contact RPG's offices as listed on the screen, noting that the office will be closed for part of the winter break holiday. Thank you.